In 2024, I am not voting for Donald Trump because he is not temperamentally fit for office.
In 2024, I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump because character matters.
Hey folks, we're diving into a hot topic today. Why some former Trump voters have decided they're not casting their ballots for him in the 2024 election. Let's break down their reasons in simple, fun, and relatable terms. Buckle up, because this ride is going to be quite the trip. Our first voter kicks things off by saying Trump's temperament just isn't fit for the presidency. He's seen as someone who bends, manipulates, or even breaks the law to serve his interests. Instead of putting America first, he's accused of putting Trump first, which rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Think of it like this. You wouldn't trust a bus driver who's more interested in texting than steering the wheel, right? Some voters highlight his impulsive nature and how his decision-making process seems erratic. They mention incidents where he acted on a whim, such as abruptly firing officials via Twitter or making major policy announcements without consulting experts. This kind of behavior is seen as risky and unpresidential. Another voter mentions character, highlighting Trump's conviction of sexual assault and his associations with controversial groups. For them, these actions are non-negotiable deal breakers. It's like trying to enjoy a nice dinner, but the restaurant has a bad health inspection score. It just ruins the appetite. In addition, they point to his frequent use of inflammatory language and personal attacks. This kind of rhetoric, they argue, is unbecoming of a president and sets a poor example for the nation, especially for the younger generation. It's like having a role model who constantly breaks the rules. Not exactly someone you'd want your kids to look up to. Many former supporters are upset about Trump's unfulfilled promises. They point out his failure to build the promised wall, make Mexico pay for it, or deliver a better healthcare plan than Obama's. Imagine promising your friends an epic party and then showing up with just a bag of chips. A major letdown, right? They also mention other promises that fell flat, like his pledge to revive the coal industry and bring back manufacturing jobs to the U.S. Despite grandiose claims, these industries haven't seen the resurgence he promised. It's like being promised a 5-star meal, but getting fast food instead. For some, the January 6th Capitol riot is a huge factor. They see it as an attempt to overthrow the election, which is a massive red flag. It's like finding out your favorite athlete cheated to win. Suddenly, all the admiration vanishes. These voters are particularly troubled by how Trump handled the situation, both during and after the riot. His perceived encouragement of the rioters and his reluctance to immediately call for an end to the violence have left a lasting negative impression. It's like seeing someone start a fire and then watching them hesitate to put it out. Trump's way of speaking and his vocabulary have also turned people off. His rude and contemptible remarks hurt individuals and create a negative atmosphere. It's like having a boss who constantly yells, not exactly a morale booster. This voter group is concerned about how Trump's language affects the nation's discourse. They believe his constant insults and derogatory comments contribute to a more divided and hostile society. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire instead of trying to put it out. A few voters feel that Trump's narcissism and ego make him unfit for leadership. They believe he sees himself as above the law and the Constitution. Imagine a team captain who never passes the ball because they think they're the only one who can score. It's frustrating and unfair. They cite examples of Trump making everything about himself, from taking credit for successes to deflecting blame for failures. This self-centered approach is seen as detrimental to effective governance. It's like watching a reality TV star more concerned with ratings than real leadership. Some voters are worried about the risks Trump poses to democracy. They believe he hijacked the Republican Party and is steering it away from its principles. It's like watching your favorite sports team play without following the rules. It just doesn't sit right. They point out how Trump has sown doubt about the integrity of elections and democratic institutions. His unfounded claims of widespread voter fraud are seen as damaging to public trust. It's like a player constantly accusing referees of cheating whenever they lose. It undermines the whole game. Trump's comments about NATO have also been a sticking point. Voters with military backgrounds or those who value international alliances find his stance troubling. It's akin to quitting a band because the drummer won't pay for practice space. It disrupts harmony and teamwork. These voters emphasize the importance of strong alliances and how Trump's approach to NATO could weaken global security. They recall instances where he threatened to withdraw from NATO if other countries didn't increase their contributions, seeing this as a short-sighted strategy. It's like a friend who demands gas money every time you go on a road trip. It creates unnecessary tension, Trump's treatment of women, from degrading comments to accusations of adultery, has pushed some voters away. For those with daughters, wives, and mothers, supporting someone who disrespects women is simply not an option. It's like buying a product from a company known for poor labor practices. It leaves a bad taste. Several voters feel Trump lacks the presidential demeanor necessary for the role. They believe America needs a leader who can stand on the world stage with dignity and respect, not someone who causes embarrassment. Imagine going to a fancy event and your date shows up in pajamas. It's just not appropriate. Trump's comments about veterans and his perceived lack of patriotism have also alienated some voters. Calling veterans losers and disrespecting war heroes like John McCain are major turnoffs. It's like booing your team's star player. It's just not done. Some voters are concerned about Trump's scorched earth policies, believing he will focus on personal vendettas rather than leading the country. It's like a boss who spends all day firing people instead of running the business. Not exactly productive. Trump's perceived fondness for Putin and his stance on Ukraine have also caused concern. Voters worry that Trump's policies could weaken NATO and embolden Russia. It's like leaving your house unlocked in a neighborhood known for break-ins. It just doesn't feel safe. Handling of the COVID-19 pandemic is another major factor. Voters criticize his response and believe it showed a lack of leadership. Imagine a lifeguard who's afraid to get wet. Not exactly reassuring in a crisis. The January 6th insurrection and Trump's ongoing legal troubles are significant issues for many voters. They see his actions as criminal and believe he should face consequences. It's like seeing someone cheat in a game and then expect to keep playing without penalties. It's just not fair. Voters are also tired of the divisiveness they associate with Trump. They want a leader who can unite the country, not one who thrives on conflict. It's like preferring a peaceful picnic over a noisy food fight. Harmony is key. Some are alarmed by Trump's statements about wanting more control and his admiration for dictators. They worry he could undermine democratic institutions. It's like giving the keys to the city to someone who doesn't believe in traffic laws. Chaos could ensue. As the 2024 election approaches, these former Trump voters are clear about their reasons for switching sides. They're looking for leaders who respect the law, honor democratic principles, and work towards unity. It's like switching from a broken-down car to a reliable ride. They just want to move forward smoothly. These 18 former Trump voters are saying no to another term because they believe in character, integrity, and effective leadership. They've weighed the promises, observed the actions, and decided they want something different for America. It's a powerful reminder that every vote counts and every voice matters. So whether you agree or disagree, it's crucial to stay informed and make your voice heard in the upcoming election. Stay tuned, stay informed, and remember, your vote is your voice. Let's make it count.